Republicans and Democrats. So, do you think they're crazy? Well, that may be true, but that's not what today's video is about. Today we're going to look at the difference between the left and the right, liberals and conservatives, Republicans and Democrats. I'm Stephen Arms, and welcome to In the United States of America, we have two major political parties. They're the Democratic Party, which was founded in 1782, predominantly by Thomas Jefferson and James Madison. And we have the Republican Party, which was founded officially in 1854, having been the Whig Party before that in the early 1800s. The modern Democratic Party is generally considered to be a liberal party, and it is generally referred to as the left. Left, liberal, Democrats, easy to remember. The Republican Party is generally considered a more conservative party, and it is referred to as the right. And that, of course, would be Republican right, easy to remember. So, dictionary definition of what liberal means politically. A political philosophy or attitude that emphasizes that government should be active in supporting social and political change. A government that is directly involved in its people's lives and trying to make changes for the benefit of society. A conservative definition would be a political philosophy or attitude that emphasizes respect for traditional institutions and opposes the attempt to achieve social change through legislature or publicly funded programs. The idea that the individual and people are what actually change a country, not the government. That the people themselves make changes and eventually adopt the laws and changes to change the nation in a beneficial way. The main difference between a liberal and a conservative, and in essence, or in theory is a better way of saying it, a Republican and a Democrat, is what is the role of government and what is the size of government and what is its relationship to people and their lives. So let's look at the difference between the left and the right, conservatives and liberals. And I'll give a few basic points that are somewhat contentious in the United States and give you an idea of the different people's point of view on them. The first one would be financial policies. Economically, liberals are generally in favor of higher taxes and they're in favor of more government spending. Again, as I mentioned in the last part, it's the liberals are of the opinion that the government has a responsibility to create methods to create a better society. Therefore, they're going to be much harder on the regulation of business, and especially high taxes against those that are the wealthy. The conservative side would be for lower taxes and less regulation of business. They would be more in suit for the idea of a balanced budget, that spending within your means. Next, immigration policy. A liberal generally would look for pathways to citizenship for what they would consider to be undocumented immigrants. They're generally not interested in border restrictions. They're much more open door policies, allowing people to come freely into a nation, and of the opinion that America is a melting pot nation. Therefore, so as many immigrants want to come in is fine. Now, on the more conservative side, there would be people who wouldn't want to be giving amnesty to illegal immigrants. And I'm using the two different worlds. We're not talking about undocumented. In the case of a conservative, they use the term illegal immigrants because they've come into the United States illegally in violation of the law. That the United States, they're proponents of the idea that immigrants coming into the United States are a drain on the system. And the United States already allows more legal immigration than nearly any other nation in the world. So let's see. Abortion. Abortion is a very controversial issue in the United States. And in dealing with the fact of, from the liberal point of view, Most of them are in favor of abortion, that it's a woman's right to choose, that it's a woman's body. And they're basically, most liberals are of the opinion that abortion is fine even up into the last trimester. Not all do, but there are those who support partial birth abortion even on the liberal side, which of course is the removal of a fetus when the fetus is still viable. Conservatively, most of them would be against most abortion. Most conservatives would give exceptions in the case of incest and rape, but on a whole, there are many of them that believe that abortion is morally reprehensible because it represents killing a baby. Gay rights. The liberal in the United States is generally in favor of gay rights. They're supporters of gay marriage. They're very supportive of the LGBT community, and we consider laws against them to be discriminating against people based on against their fundamental rights as citizens of the United States. More conservative aspects would be opposed to gay marriage. Most of the ones in a very conservative aspect would be of the opinion that that the laws of anti-discrimination we're talking about run head-on against the religious conflicts that are created by them. Now, in looking at the conservative and the liberal in general, how many people in the United States say that they're conservative? How many people in the United States say that they're liberal? Now, this varies quite a bit, but generally, if you ask a straight question of an individual, are you a liberal or are you a conservative? About 23 to 25% say they're liberal, and about 38 to 40% say that they're conservative. So what political parties are allied with liberals and conservatives? Well, obviously, as I've been talking about in this video, the Democratic Party would be a liberal party, as would the Green Party. The opposite, on the other side, the conservative political party would be the Republican Party and the Libertarian Party. Generally speaking, the ideologies that are behind the liberalism are socialism, communism, and Marxism. The ideologies that are behind the more conservative aspects would be capitalism and fascism at the most extreme, and the opposite of communism would be fascism. And generally speaking, but on the better side, a more conservative would be democratic republics. So who are some famous proponents of liberalism and conservatism? Karl Marx on the liberal side, Frederick Engels on the liberal side. In more modern context, Barack Obama, Nancy Pelosi, Noam Chomsky, Chuck Schumer, and Warren Buffett is a good rich man version. And most of the billionaires that are in the Silicon Valley right now would be considered liberals also. Now, in the more conservative aspects, who are proponents, George Washington was conservative. In more modern contexts, George Bush, Margaret Thatcher for England, Ronald Reagan, Rush Limbaugh would be a good example, I guess. But also from a business point of view, Rupert Murdoch would be a good opposite number to Warren Buffett, because Rupert Murdoch owns Fox News, for example. So which one is correct? Liberals or conservatives? Again, that's pretty much a point of view. Obviously, I've tried to point out there's some good aspects to both sides. And do the Democrats strictly adhere to the liberal ideology? No. Do the Republicans, are all the Republicans conservative? The answer is no. There are, to quote Hager the Horrible, moderation in all things as long as you don't get carried away. And that actually strikes me as what you're talking about when you're looking at this. There are elements on both sides that are correct. You do, for example, financially, governments do need to have money. And the society we live in has gotten much more complicated. And so there are needs for organizations in this country to help people to survive. But on the other hand, who's wiser at spending money? You or the government? But again, by that argument, say Social Security. If we didn't have Social Security, how many people would save the money for their retirement? Because there's a responsibility that comes with being given the power to decide what you want. And you go, well, you're going back and forth, Professor Arms. I mean, which one is right and which one is left? Well, that's easy. Which one is correct? Well, that's another matter. Now, if you want to know where I actually rest on that, that's very simple. I'd be what we considered a classical liberal. Not a modern liberal, which is what I've been talking about. I would be a classical liberal. And you go, well, what's a classical liberal? And I go, well, that's easy. You can watch my next video and I'll talk about what classical liberalism is. So, if you've enjoyed this video, hit like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things that'll keep us making these scintillating historical videos. Thank you very much.